Good evening. It is now 5:30, so I will call this meeting. All trustees are present except for Patty. We do have a quorum. Welcome. This meeting is being webcast live and recorded. The recordings of webcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. At this time, I would like to remind everyone of the procedures for public participation in tonight's meeting. Members of the public are encouraged to attend and address the board at any agenda item or topic within the board's jurisdiction. Public comments will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes for the speaker with a total of 20 minutes. Speaker request forms are available at the entrance of the boardroom and can be handed to Ms. Gonzalez prior to public comment. Regarding complaints, if a concern is raised about an employee, the complainant will be informed of the appropriate complaint procedure. The first step is for the complainant to submit the concern in writing to the district office, after which the district will begin the investigation process to address the issue fairly and promptly. Complaints involving child abuse or unlawful discrimination will be handled in accordance with specific legal protocols. Please note that any documents handed to the board during the meeting are subject to public records request in accordance with the California Public Records Act. The board prohibits retaliation against complainants, and all complaints will be investigated promptly and impartially. Please be respectful of the meeting process. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed and may be resolved to removal of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation. And now can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of regular board meetings. Do I have a motion to adopt the board meetings agenda for January 28, 2026? I'll second. Okay. Roll call. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra? Aye. Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Workshop. Facility Use Review Board, 1330, use of school facilities. Our next item is a workshop on the facility use under board policy 1330. This is a chance to review how our school facilities are being used, discuss any challenges, and consider improvements. We're not taking any action today. This is just to share the information, get feedback, and identify areas we may want to revisit in the future. Mr. Pacina, can you provide us an overview?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Board President Cisneros and members of the board, staff and community that are here. So this is a workshop, and the reason I put in a workshop setting is more informal. You can just ask questions and you'll see some prompts in the slides themselves. And really, we were asked to bring this board policy forward. It was facility use, but we want to wrap it around the board policy and then begin to see where is it that we might need tweaks or whatnot, get some guidance from the board. On that, kind of similar to what we did with nepotism. Remember that when we did that a while back? And so just kind of do the same thing. So Ms. Alvarez and her team are set up a slide deck just to kind of get the conversation started. It might mean that we come back again in a few weeks, but we would like to kind of get this squared away so we have it ready for the 26-27 school year for sure. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Alvarez.
All right, so I actually don't have any visual prompts in the slides, so I'm going to rely on you guys and myself to be prompts to ask questions and interject if you have any feedback. So for facility use, we have two main sources of guidance, the education code and the board policy. We're going to dive into both of those, but they're referenced there for your review, and then you do also have the board policies and education code printed out available for you as well. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So within the education code, it actually requires that school districts allow the facilities to be used as long as it's consistent with the use of the facility and that it doesn't interfere with the regular conduct of the school or regular operations. The education code also restricts unlawful use of the facilities. It establishes liability responsibilities between the individual using the facility as well as us, and then it establishes the requirement for each of us to respectively bear the cost of getting insurance to cover that liability. It also establishes rates that it dictates or prescribes that we are allowed to charge up to our direct cost for nonprofit clubs or things associated with promoting youth or school activities. And then it states that we shall charge at least our direct cost when the use is for like a religious organization that doesn't have a suitable meeting place and they request to use our facilities. And then it says that we shall charge a fair rental value when it's something for entertainment or admission where the profit isn't going towards a charitable use or school youth organization. And then the board policy itself that we have, board policy 1330, adopts or, agrees with and creates within our own Corcoran Joint Unified School District the policies prescribed in education code, where it does allow the use of our facilities for those reasons, sets rates, and it defines what direct cost is within our board policy, and gives some guidance surrounding polling place use, making sure that it's available for those reasons. The AR or administrative regulation is giving the guidance on how we carry that out. So it provides an application process and defines what civic center use is. Civic center use is the name that's given within the education code that the facilities can be used based on the Civic Center Act. And then our AR outlines some restrictions and also provides the guidance surrounding the liability and bearing the cost of insurance for that reason. Any questions so far or feedback or? So presently, these are the two facility use applications that we have within the district. The one on the left is the general facility application that works for almost everywhere within the district, except for the TLC. The TLC has their own additional application page that serves as the cover, and then has the main district facility application behind it. Go ahead and put the next one. So currently, for facility use, there has been direction to have a pause on charging for any student-centered groups, but any other requests for facility use, we have been using the most recently approved rates for both the TLC and other general facility use.
Student center meaning they have to be associated with our student body, or is it loosely student name?
Presently, it's been just any student centered, not necessarily strictly prohibited to our student body. So moving forward, just wanted to get some feedback on possible tiered rates, taking in mind the education code, and then possibly looking at any board policy changes. But the possible tiered rate structure could be that we have one rate where we don't charge any of our school district clubs or organizations. So they're just using the district facilities as part of our student population. Then having a second rate, which would categorize anything that falls into the education code, calling out the may charge, those groups, where possibly they're getting charged 50% of what our direct cost is to help recoup the cost of a district incurs. And then anybody that falls into the shall charge category within the education code, charging the fair rental value. Let's go back. Yeah. Any feedback, thoughts, concerns?
So there may be a charge for the nonprofits, organizations, and Little League is where you're trying to go in that direction.
Just as a proposed option.
I'm not for that because their fees are very minimal already because we live in a devastated community, right? So it's hard for this organization covers just enough to cover their insurance fees. So I see how it would be very difficult for all of our organizations to pay that type of fee for using a field.
Right.
I see like nonprofits and youth that might be something we may want to look into as far as that. How about like other clubs, like there's the Rotary, there's 50/50 club, and all these organizations give back to our schools. I mean, so are we charging them to use our facilities as well? When they're already giving us monies for scholarships and buildings and so forth. Also the city of Corcoran, would you charge them? They helped with the build of the TLC. And there are actually a plaque with all the council members who were a part of that at the TLC.
Right, and this is why, this is just a possible tiered rates, just to get a starting point, doesn't mean that this is what we're.
Right,
looking
no, I
at, right?
understand that, but that's why I'm
Yeah.
just trying to give you my opinion
Oh, yeah.
on why I feel we shouldn't charge those.
No, definitely, and that's great, because part of this, and Ms. Alvarez, or, Dr. Vargas, as well as you guys have input, is with that, that's why we actually, I had them pause on students altogether, because it was hard to get a definition around, well, to your point, like, what was it, is it club sports, is it certain ones, not all of them, so that's where we're here today, glad that we're having this conversation, because we want to get good guidance, because 20 years down the line, right, we're thinking like 10-20 years down the line, that guidance should still stick, so we want to define those things.
Right, we're looking at long-term goals.
Right.
But so like.
Can I get some clarification on the organizations
Yeah.
that you mentioned? Are they considered nonprofits?
Rotary, I believe, is nonprofit, isn't it? Yeah, those are all nonprofits, and then the city of Corcoran is a government entity, but they were part of Build.
So they would fall into the may charge category, so then we would be able to consider, if that's the discretion of the board, would you like the may charge to be at 0% of direct cost as well?
I mean, if they're using it for something, I can't see them making any money, so they're using the facility, it's usually because they probably want to have a council meeting, or they want to reach out to the community, the way they did for the flooding. And I mean, that should have been like hand in hand, that's not something that should be charged, because they're reaching out to our communities based on the health and support of our youth as well. So that's just my thought, I don't know anyone else.
I agree. The other question I was going to ask is some of the travel groups that, softball, football, Pop Warner, what are we doing with those? I mean, if it's an organization that's trying to keep these kids off the street, and we're charging them a fee to use these facilities, I think it hinders what the goal is to keep them off the streets and in sports, so that they can become productive. That's my concern, because I heard when we had wrestling or a basketball tournament that we were charging for the use of the facility, but they had a hard time coming up with the money. And even though they charge at the door a minimal fee, it still goes back to the kids. And that's, I think, is what we need to look at. It's going back to the kids. It's not going to somebody's pocket. I hope, that is the goal, is to keep them off the streets, keep them productive, keep them in the sports, so that they can continue at the John Muir level, at the high school level.
For those organizations, are they considered for-profit or not-for-profit?
I have no idea what they are. I don't think
They
they're
should
for profit.
They should be a nonprofit.
Mhm.
I believe, like, I know Little League is nonprofit, youth football is nonprofit.
Mhm.
I don't know if they still have youth wrestling club, but that was also nonprofit at one time. So those are all nonprofit groups.
Out of curiosity, is there any guidance on potentially deposits? Cause I'm wondering, we wanna make it accessible. In the event that some kind of facility was damaged or something, I'm wondering if that could be some way to ensure, the accountability of the use of the facilities, and making sure.
Doesn't specifically speak to a deposit within the education code, but what it does speak to on the fair rental value is where you kind of get more into that. So the direct cost is specifically just like utility or labor cost, but fair market value or fair rental value is gonna take into account, what is that? Wear and tear. Wear and tear on the facilities as well. So if you're in the nonprofit, as it reads in the education code, that is into the bucket of may charge, so up to, but meaning you can go 0 up to direct cost. It does specify that we would not be able to charge a nonprofit organization the fair rental value, the wear and tear portion of it. But for the for-profit section, education code does say that we shall charge at least the direct cost, if not also then the other wear and tear portion.
And then they do have insurance that's going to also cover. Correct?
Yes, there is the insurance cost that education code does also specify is to be borne on the respective parties, but there is a cost to it. The property and liability insurance company that we have does offer a platform to get insurance costs from there at like a reasonable rate, but there is a cost.
I am not opposed to like a light charge or something, because I mean, I know youth, Little League and youth football use the facilities at the RAC. They're not charged for using the facilities, but they are charged for the light bill that is being used during that time. So I think
You
something.
mentioned something about a deposit for damages. In the last couple of years, how much damage has been caused by renting out our facilities? Do we know?
The only damages I'm aware of are some wear and tear on the technology at the TLC, but it's technology at the TLC, like some of the speakers or whatnot. But I think it's hard to strictly identify where that damage has happened. So I'm not aware of any large damages from facilities itself.
And I don't think there's been a way that we've been collecting that data in the past to be able to see, that, but that's a great thing for even us to look at. But part of it too, and I know that as this discussion is coming up around the insurance, this year, Ms. Alvarez did a great job of working with the insurance company to try to help mitigate some of those costs, because some of the groups were like going to their own private insurance person, and the rider was like, pretty costly. So then that was a support that I think you had put in place with them in that piece. So even when we ask for the insurance piece, that's where we want to make sure we get the guidance, we're all on the same page, because there might be a group that starts up, I'm gonna just use like, I don't know if it's like pickleball youth or something, right? And they have little to no funds, but they will still need some kind of insurance rider, just based on the policy that we have. So that's a part where there's a little rub there.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only one I think we might have an issue would probably be Little League, because that's a national thing. It's not like just corporate Little League. They fall under an umbrella for their national league. So I don't know how that's gonna play in.
So I think I must have misread the policies because I was confused. I believe that all of the student focused groups could use it for free. I didn't realize we were charging. And then I'm glad that we did do the pause. So I do agree as well with the nonprofits that help our communities, that they, like they was stated already, they provide scholarships. And most of their meetings and their unions are based on how to raise funds in order to give back to the community too. So I would agree to make them all into the main charge, and just depends on, maybe they are gonna use it for a fundraising event for something else. And that would be an opportunity for us to discuss what may be charged at that time versus a direct charge all the time. But I would consider looking at not charging the student focused clubs, organizations, and then minimize the cost to the other profits. Yeah, I remember when I was at the institution, we did rent the facility for job fairs. I'm okay with, raising some funds during those events. But other than that, I agree with some of the board members to minimize the cost for things that are going to directly affecting our students.
So for my clarification, is student-centered use, if it's a nonprofit or for-profit, still something that would prefer to have zero cost?
And not for profit, everything for nonprofit.
And then the nonprofits that are maybe adult-centered, not student-centered, would also have zero cost, or would have a portion of direct cost?
I think that would depend if they're using the facility to raise funds to give back to our district or community.
Yes.
Thank you.
One of the things too that we want to do is, like I said, we'll come back to the board, but like we did the nepotism policy, might be good, beneficial to have, one or two trustees help when we get to the part of the board of that policy to support. We will need to reach out to legal too, because I'm only thinking from recent cases on high school clubs and school clubs, if you guys remember that piece, we wanna be very clear as far as like the criteria maybe. So we're gonna wanna, get some, feedback and guidance from them too, right? Cause for, yeah.
Understood. Another thing to think about is because we're just saying student centered, that doesn't necessarily mean it's corporate youth students centered, youth centered. I want it to be centered around our youth in our community, not youth from other towns who want to come and use our facilities. Because you may hear that, oh, it's free in corporate. So, I want to make sure we have that clarification. And then I know like Little League, when they go to All Stars, they have to print from their areas, their documentation saying that they live in Corcoran and they reside in the community. And then that's what they can use to play in the playoffs. If they can't produce that, then their entire season and that team loses their championship if they were champions. So there's ways around us getting that information.
And is that a shared feeling that student-centered for Corcoran organizations only?
I just have a question or lack of knowledge on this one, because what if some of the kids are from Corcoran, but some are from the different towns, because like that travel team, they usually have it for.
Right, but I think as long as the majority is Corcoran, I'm okay with that, because I mean, if Hanford hears that we're free, who's to say Hanford's not gonna contact and be like, hey, we have 2 Corcoran kids on our team.
No, I definitely.
I just think it's maybe the majority, or at least 50% of the athletes should be. I don't know, it's just my thought.
There was a discussion within the community about that it was, a lot of those kids weren't from Corcoran, but some were. So I think it's kind of, as long as it benefits our students, our community, then yes, but if it's Hanford, Tulare, another institution or another facility just wants to use our facilities, those would require some type of charge, I would say. Yeah, so we definitely need to sit in a group and discuss those kind of things, because there are several, nuances to things for sure.
Okay. So, okay.
I would also say, as we kind of go through this, because this is a first step, but if there's items that you have, like scenarios that you think of, please email them to me. Because then we'll begin to kind of curate those to help, right? So, because that's gonna help in thinking like, okay, what is the criteria, that type of stuff. So that's very helpful. So even the scenarios you gave today, those help. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine, thank you. So looking forward, I am hearing so far from the previous discussion that we do want to be able to charge for certain types of use. So that still does put a charge on us to identify what our direct cost is, what our fair rental value rate would be. And then probably we're going to insert a little arrow in between that one and the next step of identifying a more refined structure of how we would go about implementing those charges. And then after that, we'll be updating board policy and then revising the facility use application so that it reflects all those changes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, feedback?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentations, local control and accountability plan, year update, Ms. Mendoza.
Good evening, board. Today I will be presenting the mid-year LCAP update. A little background on the LCAP update is that per SB 114, it is a requirement that we present a mid-year update as to what we are experiencing and any outcome related data, metrics, or expenditures that we have up to the mid-year. We have a deadline of February 28th, which is Saturday. So glad I can present that today. The LCAP goals, there are 3. 2 of them are are where we expend most of our supplemental concentration funds. And those, just an overview of those is that the first one is our broad-based educational program, and trying to build up our MTSS. You can see that our entire goal there. Goal 2 is welcoming, safe, nurturing, and engaging environments, where we try to incorporate parent, staff, student engagement via positive school climates. And the third one is only related, it's the equity multiplier, and it is only related to Corcoran Academy, Kings Lake, and Mission Community Day Schools. And that's for stability. So their goals look a little different. We get about 50,000 for Corcoran Academy and Mission, and then about 73,000 for Kings Lake. A quick overview of where we are with LCAP Goal 1. We have a set budget for the year of $13,945,993. Of that, we are about halfway through expending it, which means we're on target to spend what we have said we were going to spend for this goal. One of the things I want to point out is our enrollment. The LCFF eligible count when we started this iteration of the LCAP was 3,267 students. I believe that our CBO has pointed out that we are in declining enrollment. And so currently we have eligibility or enrollment of 3,156 students. So you can see that we've declined about 110 students in the since spring of 2023. Our unduplicated accounts, which when we talk about unduplicated pupils, those are our foster, low income, or what sometimes reflects as socially economically disadvantaged and English learners. So that count is 2,910 currently, which is a little above where we were in spring of 2023. Some of the metrics that we currently have, and that was because the dashboard was published in the fall, is our EL, our ELA, and we have increased from 31.27% to 33.4%. Our math scores have also increased since the spring of 2023 from 16.46 to 20.76%. And our science assessments in spring of 2023, we had a 30.18% meeting or exceeding, and we are at 32.66%. Our English learners are also making progress. We have a 1.7% increase from 2023 to the current rate in the fall dashboard 2025. And as always, our college and career indicators are doing well, also seeing an increase both in students who have completed UC, CSU, and CTE pathways, and those who are demonstrating college preparedness. These are our ongoing actions and expenditures that we have in Goal 1. So in interventions and supports, you can see the bulleted items are those that are those expenditures that we are that we currently have under our academic support. In supporting to English learners, we have 2, and then our academic counselor for college and career. We are putting in money to have smaller class sizes, roughly 2 teachers per grade level. Our expenditures also include increasing career and technical pathways, providing a broad course of study, increasing and maintaining our library and technology programs, and most importantly, not most importantly, but very important to note, our student well-being, those being our counselors, LMFTs, psychologists, and all other behavior interventionists. In Goal 2, this could be a little tricky. just in the looking at the progress, we always want to see an increase of metrics in academics, but when it comes to environment, we want to actually see a decline in suspension rates, chronic absenteeism, and expulsion rates. So you see that happening in those three metrics, and an increase in attendance rate just by 0.8, but still it is growth from 3 years ago, with our target of every year having 96%. Our budget is $1.2 million, and we're halfway there again, which is a good reflection that we are being cognizant of the expenditures that we have, allocating it appropriately, and then spending it on time. Goal 2, we have 3 main focus areas as far as actions, and that's our safe environments, our personnel or equipment, and professional development that maintains our student safety. Our expenditures for promoting attendance and reducing chronic absenteeism. That is a program that we use to ensure that we are monitoring percent of attendance, and then either sending letters out to parents or identifying students who may need additional interventions with coming to school. Finally, our last action there would be to increase parent education and involvement. And we do partner with Parent University from Fresno State. We have translating services, and we provide access to parents Square where all of our messages are delivered. Our final goal in our LCAP is that equity multiplier that is not used for our duplicate accounts. It is used specifically for Kings Lake, Corcoran Academy, and Mission Community Day School. We allocated $161,222, and as of January 30th, we have spent 93, a little over half. I do want to point out that Kings Lake's graduation rates have increased 8.4% from spring of 2020. They had gone down last year, but from last year to this year, it's not reflected in here, but they did have a 20% increase. So they had declined 20%, and then they were more than 20% and increased that 20 plus 8.4% more. So kudos to Kings Lake for that. It is an alternative end, so trying to get students to school is still a challenge, and it's still something that we are working on increasing. But suspension rates are, it looks like it's bad because it's red, but I do want to point out again that last year they had a 46.4% rate, which is extremely high, and they were able to decrease that from the fall dashboard last year to the fall dashboard this year. They had a decline of 37.1%. So the PBIS interventions and supports that they are providing there with the counselors who are identified as their main expenditures for this goal are supporting that. So what's next? We do have a full update of our LCAP, and we are currently starting our planning for the 26-27 school year. I have had an EPAC or Educational Partner Advisory Committee meeting, and we'll be having another March 4th, which is next week. We will be sending out the LCAP surveys that help support our local indicators, and also our goal 2 for climate. Those will go out later in March. And then we have an full annual review and approval coming to you June 2026. So please expect that. Are there any questions? No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, reports now. We have middle school. John Muir, Natalie.
Before I start, I would like to congratulate the varsity boys for winning the semifinals against Pioneer.
You can actually hand it to them.
Good morning, board members, district administrators, parents, and community members. My name is Natalie Chavez Martinez, and I'm this year JMS ASB secretary. Tonight, I'd like to share some great things that are happening on campus. Last night was registration night for our 8th grade students who are moving on to Corcoran High School next year. Students are excited as their freshman year is quickly approaching. The JMS band is getting ready for the Tulare Band Festival on March 23rd, and also the CMEA Concert Band Festival on April 10th. Mr. Hodgson continues to prepare the JMS theater group for the upcoming play Beauty and the Beast Bed and Breakfast. The JMS girls and boys JV teams are hosting a tournament tomorrow to finish their seasons. The girls varsity team basketball team made it to the semifinals for the CAL but lost on Monday. The boys won their semifinal game and are playing Pioneer tonight in the champion game. Finally, the spring sports season is now starting with baseball, softball, and track. It is a very busy time of the year on the JMS campus. Thank you for the opportunity to share some wonderful things going on in our school. Thank you.
Right, high school, Mr. Casina, will be reporting today.
Yes, first of all, good evening, board, and thank you so much. You did a great job on the report, so thank you. And thank you so much, Ms. Mendoza as well, for your work today. So the high school, they're not here because right now, as we speak, getting started is the Valley Championship, our first ever. And they wanted to make sure that they were there. And so it's very important that they are. So I'm gonna do these really quick. So Letterman Jacket Day they had last week. They took pictures and then went to John Muir to kind of show off the Letterman jacket. So it was a really cool event. This week is FFA celebration week. And so today, the FFA students did a teacher appreciation breakfast at the high school. So they did that. As our students stated, freshman registration night was last night. So they had a great turnout there. And then there's definitely a community partnership with Friday Night Live and kind of getting that going. And so they're working on that and looking at building youth leadership, advocacy, and promoting healthy choices. And then last again, but not least, we have congratulations our not only our soccer team, boys soccer team, but last night our girls basketball team did an amazing job of almost winning, and they did a great job of just being great sportsmen, sports ladies. And we watched it. We're away. Some of us were in San Diego, and so we sat there and we watched the game on YouTube. So that was great. People were wondering why we were cheering, as you know, they was kind of getting down to the wire. And then also congratulations to both our boys and girls wrestlers at CHS. We had 2 that made it to Valley, so it was pretty awesome. So with that, that's the high school report. Yeah, I'll go ahead and yield my time because I did those, so here you go.
Very good. Board of Trustees, we have the next item is to go on the 2026 Delegate Assembly ballot. The California Schools Boards Association Delegate Assembly plays an important role in shaping the level policy and leadership representing the interests of school districts across California. On the ballot is Alicia Martela from Hanford, Joint Unified School District. We may vote for up to the number of seats available and cast no more than 1 vote per candidate. Do I have a motion to cast our ballot for Alicia Martela as presented? Okay, a second. All right. And a roll call, Sandra? Aye. Valerie?
Aye.
And myself. Thank you. And now we're gonna be reviewing our board training that was just held on the 5th of this month. If I can get that up there. Okay, so we held the board training, and today I would like to go ahead and review, what we learned on that training. So, why we need a board that learns to to become a unified governance. So our own board policy calls us to govern responsibly and hold ourselves accountable to the highest standards of ethical conduct. We set the tone for the culture of the district through our actions here in the boardroom as well as in our community. It was very interesting to be able to not just already hear what we're supposed to do, but actually define our roles and our expectations to ensure that we do become a unified governance team. So it was a very productive day. I really want to talk and help explain how we became a group, but we were vulnerable, where we were to actually discuss the things that we see by doing the self-evaluation of what is it that we are lacking on, what is it that we do good, and then identify the areas that we can grow by developing key commitments and agreements to operate at a very high functioning team. So like I said, we did some self-evaluation as a team to include our superintendent. And again, I want to thank all of us for participating and being honest and discussing the things with one another. As I go through this, if any of you guys would like to, bring something that I might forget, I would really appreciate your statements and comments on that, because for me, it was a growth opportunity, and so I think it was for our team. And that way you guys could continue to see where we're at. So for those of us that did attend the self-evaluation, we felt as a board that overall, we would love to be on the high functional, obviously, but because we knew that there was some learnings, we had that workshop, and that was very beneficial because we did identify ourselves as being in the functional but fragile board. And so this is honest. This is, we're not trying to hide anything. We do have growth. It's just all of us do. And so being fragile means that any given behavior or an incident can move us back to dysfunctional. So we want to stay up on top of that, and we want to work together to hopefully become highly functional. The green box, oh, we already went through that, but that's okay. That's the functional board where we're at, where we feel that based on, there's incidents, there's things that we can work on, but for overall, we do have some areas that cover all of the highly functional and even the dysfunctional, but we're more focused on the functional. Okay, this is one of the most interesting things to me, because I always wanted to define my role and responsibility, especially since I'm one of the newest board members. So I wanted to actually be told and clarify and be told again, because sometimes you tend to forget, but I wanted to know my role. What's my responsibility? What is it that I sit here and do? And so as a board, we set the policy, and then we employ the superintendent. We have one employee only, and that is him. Our responsibilities are to set and follow the policy, to use a chain of command, to separate board politics and board work, to respect administration and staff, to respect other board members, participate in the board development, and avoid speaking as behalf of the board, and to be humble and to continue to be what we are. We're servant leaders, and that's what we do here. Mr. Lee did this illustration, and we are on that helicopter on top. Right below us, you see the superintendent, and then the administrators a few steps down the ladder, staff, and then the students. So us as the board being on that helicopter, we're able to oversee everything. We can see everything that's happening. And if we come down closer, we may not be able to see exactly what's going on. And now we're starting to get into other people's roles and impeding the growth. So as board members, we need to remain to allow ourselves to be on the top so we can see everything, and allow the superintendent who we hired to handle the day-to-day management of the district. This is exactly what we as a board decided we wanted to do. So we were reminded several times during that workshop to remain in our helicopter, which is something that we have to continue to work down. I don't know if anybody would like to add anything to that. Okay. So we led through policy and given our superintendent the vision of the community, not our personal vision, which he takes and makes it and becomes a reality. Those of us present committed on staying in the helicopter, we need to hold true to this If it means changing to organizational structure, individual employee, or community concerns, the actions created to fulfill board priorities rest solely on the superintendent, not us. So this is what we were, in these pictures you see is we had, some different questions that were asked, to protect the integrity of our board. And we have the discs that you can see up in the plaque there. There's the one on the top that is intact, and the one right below it has several holes. That means that's our board. With all those holes, it will definitely disrupt the integrity of our board. So like I said, the one no holes is solid, highly functional. A board is firm in their roles and responsibilities, and they are a unified governance team. But when we start losing sight of our roles and responsibilities, or break our commitments and agreements to each other, then we have a very dysfunctional and broken board. After reviewing several scenarios that included bad behaviors, personal agendas, micromanaging, and more, which represented small holes, but a big hole on the board, eventually the board has so many holes that it breaks. When a board breaks, students suffer, chaos is the norm, and we become dysfunctional district. So we did protect the integrity on our board, and we're going to continue to do so. And there's more plans for us ahead to become better. During the training, we all committed and agreed by signing these contracts, which indicated that we were going to remain successful. We agreed to continue to sign these contracts and continue that we were going to go ahead and commit to what's in here. So today, I once again would like to pass it around, and if you would still commit to what we learned, go ahead and please sign. Some of the things that we are committing to is that we commit this team to remove any of my personal agendas so we can function better as a team. I commit to this team to stay in helicopter and focus on my role to support the team. I commit to this team that I will minimize childish behaviors towards my teammates and relates to personal or professional disagreements. I commit to this team to be on time, prepared for all meetings. I will not overreact when someone tries to create drama or divide our team or attack one of our teammates. I commit to my teammates to minimize defensiveness when questioned or challenged. I commit to question or challenge teammates in a respectful way so that they feel supported and appreciated and not attacked. I commit to support the superintendent and allow him or her to the space to learn and grow. And as the superintendent, he also commits to our board. So I will sign. Mr. Christina, would you also like to comment anything?
No, I think, thank you, President Cisneros. I think that day was really a great day because, we were able to kind of get vulnerable, like, you had stated. And what was pretty profound was just those discs over there and realizing that a lot of little holes begin to make big holes that begin to break the integrity of any team, really, when you think about it, right? Not just the board, but it could be like our boys basketball team that we saw today that won a championship. They were all together rooting, and even though there were mistakes along the way, because we saw those at the game, right? A double dribble, a travel, they were cheering and like, let's fix it in the moment, let's move forward because the goal is to win. And so I know that day was really profound, and I want to just thank all of you for just being there, and you were there for our kids. Also, thank you for that.
Thank you. So for our next steps, we do the training with Mr. Lee was very important, but that was one portion of it. We do require we need a second day to evaluate our growth. So if you could please work with Mr. Lee sometime in the next coming months to finalize the date that you can give to us, and that we can have it for our next meetings. Okay. Thank you so much for that. All right. Anything else? Please.
So I also wanted to congratulate CHS Wrestling. They had two that made it all the way through the Masters, and I was able to watch them on Flow Wrestling, which was really awesome. They're two sophomores, it was a boy and a girl. that she made history. Nayla is an amazing wrestler, and I expect to see great things from her and actually make it to state next year, same as Luton. They did a really great job, and the girls had their first girls wrestling team this season and took lead. So that's a big accomplishment. John Muir Wrestling took 14 wrestlers, I believe it was 14 to the Masters and 2 qualified to state, which is amazing. The girls wrestling team at the high school, that all started in middle school. I think it'd be amazing if we could start a girls middle school wrestling. I think we'd probably be one of the first to do that for a middle school. But I think all we can do is strengthen our athletes by continuing to bring everything down to the lower divisions. Because we see what the middle school has been doing with their athletics. If it wasn't for what John Muir is doing with their coaching, our high school would not be as successful. So I really do appreciate everything that they've been doing now. Thank you.
I just want to add a little bit comment. Luke is one of my students, and he got second place the Friday before. And so you see his picture, he was not happy. And so I asked him, and he goes, I got second place. But just the phenomenal desire for him to be better, and look where he's at now. So that's great. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? No? Very good. California Faculty Association. About California School Employees Association. All right. Public comment? Do we have any, Ms. Gonzalez?
No.
Okay, we do. Very good. Action items, consent agenda. Regular board meeting minutes for January 28th and February 11th. Warrant registry, January 23rd, and personal assignment order number 11. Ratification in Kings County Office of Education, agreement lease, ratification in Kings County Office of Education, University of California Reset Spring Academy, School Attendance Review Board, SARD agreement, and Super Eval Leadership Evaluation Platform for 25-26 school year. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Business, consider the approval warrant registry January 30, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the warrant for?
Make a motion.
Okay, Sandra.
I'll
Roll call, Sammy? Okay. Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Administration, consider the approval of board policy 1445 response to immigration enforcement. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Okay, I'll second. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Consider the approval of California Counseling Inc. for grant writing services agreement, Mr. Pacino.
Yes, good evening, board. This is just a contract that I had mentioned in the board update of a group that would come and help. And they've worked with us before to actually gain some of the funding for the TLC back in the day, knowing that a bond here is very hard to do. And our staff already is like, for example, the LCAP is a grant that is run through the state. And so it's very intense in addition to all the title funds and other, the state has really gone to like almost like an internal grant system and how we do everything. So we're already managing multiple grants. They help to curate, look for grants. The benefit to this as well is some of them, like for example, Cutler Rossi built a sports complex. That was actually, even though unincorporated, it was kind of a community / school district grant that was acquired. Parlier has been doing kind of the same thing. So City of Parlier and Parlier Unified have been doing a lot of construction, but it's because of these kind of joint grants. These folks would help us. So it's $4,300 a month. It kind of seems like a lot, but at the same time, that $4,300 is for unlimited number of grants that they would write. And then the grant writer that helped us with the funds back in like early 2000, mid 2000s, 2004, 2005 is still with them. And so she knows the community quite well. And so they're also, I believe, on Zoom if there's any questions that you have besides that, but we are recommending the approval of this to really seek out funds. And if this is passed tonight, we're gonna get them working starting tomorrow. that they would get going on a series of grants, at least 14.
Do I have a motion to approve? A motion to approve? Do I have a second? Roll call, Sammy?
I do have a concern with section 5 on the expenses that they're going to be charging. It's kind of like open. But I don't understand how they're gonna get through it. It says consultation for reasonable out-of-pocket expenses subject to client approval. Does that mean they're going to request that before they do any travel?
That's a great question. So they're actually, are they on the Zoom?
Yes.
She can actually answer that question.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. My name's Samantha D'Ambrosio. I'm a grant specialist here from California Consulting.
Can you
Just
hold on real
one-
quick? We're trying to raise the volume.
That's right. Is
Okay,
that
go
good?
ahead.
Sorry, am I good to go?
Almost. They were just raising the volume. Keep going.
Okay.
There you go.
I just wanted to mention that Steve Samuelian, the owner of our company, is on the line, as well as our management assistant, Caitlin Williams, who is representing California Consulting from DC. I couldn't quite hear the question. If you mind repeating it again?
The section 5 on the expenses. It kind of leaves it open. Are you guys going to be requesting, mileage, parking, travel, lodging expenses prior to doing the travel or anything like that, or is it going to come after?
We don't request money for traveling. All of our work is done remotely. So we will not be requesting any compensation for travel from the school district. We will strictly be writing grants and meeting with the team over Zoom in a remote format.
Okay, so are we going to leave that in that contract or what are we gonna do?
If your team has concerns, I can get back to my operations manager, Dan Rodriguez. He manages our contracts. I'm not sure why that is in there since we won't be doing any traveling purposes. Steve, I see you're on the line. Do you want to chime in?
Good evening, board members. It says that the client must pre-approve the expenses. So we don't bill for travel or mileage or anything without the superintendent pre-approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, any more discussions or questions? Okay, so roll call, Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra? Aye. Valerie?
Aye.
And I. Teaching and learning, consider the approval of comprehensive school safety plans to Brett Carr, John Muir, Mark Twain, John C. Fremont, Corcoran High School, Kings Lake, including Corcoran Academy, Mission Union Day School. Ms. Mendoza?
Yes, this is our annual update to all of our safety plans, including some parts that may be new. There is one part that is missing, and that is the use of cell phones during emergencies. But that policy doesn't have to be completed until June 1st. So the exact same thing that we did last year with the continuity plan that we brought forth. Once we establish that policy, we will be doing the same with that. So the plans right now cover everything that we have to by March 1st, with the exclusion of the cell phone policy, but that's something that we're working on. Isn't due until 6/1, and so we will bring these back with that addition, then, once we have that policy established.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second. Roll call. Sammy?
Aye.
Sandra? Aye. Valerie? Aye. And I lost, I'm sorry. Future agenda items. The topic of personal matters in conference and with legal counsel has been identified for closed session. Do we have any public comments for the following closed session items? None at all? Okay, therefore, go ahead and adjourn at 6:29 in closed session. Thank you, everyone.